G'day. I am so pleased to be able to present these videos to you. I'm absolutely thrilled that this is to sort of support the publication of the Padagogy Wheel in Portuguese. I've waited years for this version of the Padagogy Wheel. My name's Alan Carrington, and these videos, there's 7 of them, and they're to help you walk through all the pedagogy, that's Pedagogy, the pedagogy, and also to understand how it all works. A little bit about who I am. I have been a learning designer and an Apple Distinguished Educator for about 11 or 12 years. Actually, I've been a learning designer for about 15. I have 2 master's degrees, one in education online and one in interactive multimedia. I've been awarded 2 learning and teaching awards, and to be honest with you, they're a little bit more precious than my master's degrees, I'll be honest. And I have a background in printing, publishing, web development and educational multimedia. I've worked around the world, actually, in education, travelled a lot before the pandemic and loved every minute of it. And also I have a passion for online collaboration. Now, let's talk about these 7 modules. Module 1 is all about break down the Padagogy Wheel, an overview of each part of it, and to introduce some of the history. With Module 2, we're going to talk about transformational teaching. Do you believe in that? How do you do it? Module 3 is all about attributes. Now, this is not the normal place for a learning and teaching model to start, but it should be. And so we'll look into that. The next module, Module 4, is all about motivation. We want to step back from the stick and carrot approach and look at something different about motivation. The next module, Module 5, is all about Bloom's taxonomy. Been around since 1950, still as good as ever. Module 6 is about technology, the choices you've got to make, the choices you should make. Okay, and then the final module is all about the SAMA model, the substitute, augmentation, modification and redefinition of tasks. So let's get into Module 1 and begin to look at the learning and history. We're going to put the Padagogy Wheel to work. Where we start, when teachers would constantly come to me with the question, look at this cool app I have found. I wonder how I can teach with it. So it all started, that's back to front actually. What we should start with is the question, how do I teach? How do I teach well? How do I teach to transform? Then how do I find the right apps and the right use of, and how do I choose the right technologies to support my teaching? So let me tell you a little bit how it all started. In 2012, Apple invited myself and 100 plus ADEs, Apple Distinguished Educators from around the world, to go to Ireland, which was a wonderful experience. It was the first international institute or workshop that they did, and I was honoured to be there. It was a great learning experience, and we had all sorts of interesting collaboration with each other and workshop experiences. And when I travelled like that when I was working with the University of Adelaide, I always wanted to add before and after the main event some teaching opportunities or some collaboration opportunities and visits to other universities. So I reached out before and after the event and asked if anybody would be interested to talk to me. Well, that year, the University of Adelaide had in fact given free to students of one of the faculties iPads, And this sent shockwaves around the world because we were the first university in the Southern Hemisphere to give free iPads to students. And so I set up a number of visits to Singapore, etc. And then after the Institute, I was invited to the University of Edinburgh to talk about iPads. So I thought to myself, I better upgrade my seminar resources, and I thought to myself, what is the most effective way to show teachers the correct order for teaching decisions, and how can we select technology to enhance good pedagogy? And so I headed off to Edinburgh with a PowerPoint slide that I'd come up with an idea on, and this was actually really well received, to the point where everybody wanted to use it after the seminar. And I thought to myself, there's something very important here. And it was based on some of the work that Andrew Churches has done in New Zealand for quite a number of years. He's been a thought leader in this area, and he categorized applications and technologies according to Bloom's taxonomy. And I came up with the idea, I thought to myself, what about if we put apps around the outside of the Bloom's taxonomy? And it's a wheel, and it's about iPads, so I called it the Padagogy Wheel. Little do I know that that would be so memorable that it's almost become a trademark. And now it's getting, right from version 3 particularly, as it spread in popularity, thousands of people were downloading the English version. We received this particular blog post endorsement, and particularly the last paragraph, seeing the pieces, tablets, apps, learning goals, cognitive actions, etc., and how they work together is everything. Without that vision, any bit of technology, edtech, is limp and lifeless. And that was quite an endorsement of the Padagogy Wheel. And so, because this friend said it should be in every classroom of the world, I decided to tweet inviting teachers to translate, and the way it started. And I was up to about 20 translations, but I still didn't have Portuguese, which I wanted, and I wanted it. We had a couple of false starts from Brazil, and it stopped for various reasons. But when Anna from Curitiba approached me and said we'd like to translate it, and I was introduced to the Centre for Learning and Teaching in Curitiba, I was astounded, because this was so similar to the University of Adelaide's Centre for Learning and Teaching and Professional Development, where I worked so happily for 10 years. So meet Team Brazil. Wonderful group of guys and girls. I was astounded just how similar it is. And Anna and I have been in conversation and emailed back and forth for months now, and I am so happy that the Portuguese version of the Padagogy Wheel is now translated and published, and we'll let you know at the end of this module just where you can download it. Brazil and Portuguese joined this team of amazing people, and we have it in 20 languages. I've travelled to many places, and I'll be honest with you guys, I would dearly love to visit Brazil. Just love Brazilian barbecue. And so this is my effort to support the publication of the wheel. Let me unpack it a little. Well, it's a bit of a shock when you first see it, because it's actually designed to be a poster for A2, and a lot of people do it in A3. Now, yeah, I confess it's busy, but it is really comprehensive, and if a teacher follows the question process, it is very helpful to get better learning outcomes. Okay, let's start at the centre. All right, the centre, right at the core of the wheel, is all about character. It's all about graduate attributes and capabilities. It's all about excellence. And a teacher needs to ask these questions, and we'll get into how we get to it later. Then we have, moving outwards in the circle, we talk about motivation. This is a prompt for teachers to actually think about motivation and think about how to keep the students motivated. Lots more good stuff on that to come. Moving out from there, of course, is the long time most important Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy here has got 6 segments, and it's moving from around the circle, is traditionally understood in cognitive domain, and they are all to do with the various aspects of moving a student to higher order thinking. So we will deal in the process of that, where we look at such things as the active verbs and the activities, and then we go look for apps to serve those decisions. From the outside circle is the one that is really important, though it's really hard to try to communicate this visually on a poster. But that's all about SAMR model. That's all about substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. This is all about how to design activities with the technology, and we'll talk a lot about that. Now, on the outside, of course, there's really important information. On the left-hand side there's the app selection criteria, and there's a lot of work we can do in that area, and we'll do that in another module, talking about how do you decide if an app is good for remembering or it's good for creating. Then underneath, of course, that's all the attribution part of it, based on some very fine research. Moving across to the right there, on the right-hand panel, it's in fact on how to use it. And so we go through the grids, and we will talk about that now. Okay, now here are the links to download the posters or PDFs of the Portuguese Pedagogy Wheel. There's 4 versions of it, 2 for Android and 2 for Apple. One's a screen size, which is a smaller file size, and one is a print size or a larger file for desktop copying. Now, the QR codes will work if you take your current device, that is phone or iPad and a tablet, and point it at your camera at the QR code, and it should tell you the PDF link, and just click on it. The shortened links are also very helpful. I want to thank you for sticking with me to the end of this, and there's a lot more good video to come in the next modules. I hope it's challenged you to increase your desire to learn more. Please always ask the questions about the principles and practices of good teaching. Watch the video a second time, or third time for that matter. Please stop the video often and check out the resources. Remember, it has embedded markers or chapters that you can easily get to the right spot.